Welcome to this comprehensive masterclass on intertrochanteric fractures. Over the next few minutes, we will cover extracapsular hip fracture fixation, the critical determinants of fracture stability, and the essential TED rule to help you optimize your surgical outcomes. Intertrochanteric fractures occur between the greater and lesser trochanters, meaning the blood supply to the femoral head is preserved and vascular necrosis is rare. They account for half of all hip fractures, typically presenting in patients over 80 years old after a low-energy fall from standing. You will notice the affected leg is shortened and externally rotated, and crucially, fracture stability dictates whether you use a sliding hip screw or a cephalon dullery nail. The Evans and Jensen classification system divides these injuries based on the number of fracture fragments and the integrity of the medial buttress. A stable two-part fracture with an intact medial cortex can safely be treated with a sliding hip screw. However, as you progress to three-part, four-part, and especially reverse oblique patterns, instability increases dramatically, making a cephalon dullery nail the preferred or even mandatory implant. The AO or OTA system mirrors the stability assessment under the 31A designation. Type 31A, when fractures are simple and stable, making them perfectly suited for a sliding hip screw. Type 31A, two fractures feature posteromedial comminution and are unstable, whilst type 31A3, which includes reverse oblique patterns, are highly unstable and mandate cephalomedullary nailing. When debating between a sliding hip screw and a cephalon dullery nail, remember the mnemonic R-reverse. The classic indications for a nail include reverse oblique patterns, subtrochanteric extension requiring a long nail, and vertical or Evans 3 to 4-part fractures. You should also use a nail for revision surgery, segmental fractures, and extreme osteoporosis, where a sliding hip screw would provide poor screw purchase. Stability ultimately comes down to four key anatomical factors. The posteromedial cortex and lesser trochanter must be intact to maintain the medial buttress, whilst a lateral wall thickness greater than 20.5 millimeters is required to safely use a sliding hip screw. If any of these features are compromised, or if the fracture obliquity is reverse, the pattern is unstable and requires a cephalon dullery nail. Once you have chosen your implant, the TAD, or tip-aft distance, is the single most critical measurement in sliding hip screw fixation. It is calculated intraoperatively by adding the distance from the screw tip to the femoral head apex on both the AP and lateral fluoroscopic views. Keeping this combined distance under 25 millimeters reduces the risk of screw cutout to less than 1%. To achieve an optimal tip-apex distance, aim for a CCI position of the lag screw. This stands for center on the AP view, center on the lateral view, and an inferior quadrant position, which is also acceptable. You must avoid a superior screw position at all costs, as this carries the highest risk of biomechanical failure and cutout. The management algorithm begins with surgical fixation within 24 to 48 hours, as delays directly increase patient mortality and complications. For a stable pattern, a sliding hip screw is highly cost-effective, but for unstable patterns, a cephalomedullary nail is preferred because it bears load independently of the fractured cortex. Always remember the classic exception: reverse oblique patterns mandate a nail, as a sliding hip screw will cause medialization of the shaft. The outcomes for these patients remain sobering, with intertrochanteric fractures representing half of all hip fractures and carrying a 20 to 30% one-year mortality rate. However, meticulous technique makes a measurable difference. Keeping the tip apex distance under 25 millimeters drops cutout risk to under 1%, whilst only 40 to 60% of patients will return to their pre-injury walking level. Consider a 78-year-old patient presenting with a reverse oblique intertrochanteric fracture. Here, a cephalomedullary nail is absolutely mandatory, unlike a standard two-part fracture where a sliding hip screw would suffice. Using a sliding hip screw in this scenario would cause progressive medialization of the femoral shaft, whereas a nail acts as a load-bearing device independent of the fractured cortex. If asked about the most critical technical factor to prevent leg screw cutout, your answer must be the tip apex distance. You must ensure this measurement, taken from both AP and lateral views, remains under 25 millimeters to keep cutout risk below 1%. Achieving a center inferior screw position is the most reliable way to ensure optimal biomechanics and a successful fixation.